Some teens whose lives and views are fueled by hatred. It's a scary thing, and it's very much a growing phenomenon in certain parts of this country. Now, Frank was recruited into a hate group by the time he was just 13 and began targeting African Americans, Jewish people, and other minorities while recruiting other children into the fold. And Frank, I'm glad you're here, and I've got a million things to ask you, but tell me about your teenage years and how you got into this movement.
Well, it started off, I grew up mainly in an all-Irish neighborhood in Philadelphia, and had to move in with my father when I was about 13 and moved up to a tough black neighborhood in West Philadelphia, and went to a school there, and just was constant racial problems. And that summer I went away and I went up to like Lancaster, Pennsylvania area, very rural, a lot of Amish people, and my cousins were up there and they were part of this. And they took me to my first ever like punk rock show and concert, and all the skinheads just all stuck together. And then they'd always ask me about what I went through that year in school. And like my parents never really asked me them questions, and I kind of just was interested. And you know, at the time it was mainly all just against white-black thing. And later on turned more into Jews. And as this one gentleman asked about the Bible, that's where I got recruited in. They used, you know, Christian identity, and we would go to Bible studies, and then when we're done Bible studies, we go out and shoot guns. And the older guys would always tell us, you know, I was born and raised an Irish Catholic, so I had questions, and they teach us this stuff out of the Bible. And if I said, well, that doesn't sound right, they'd say, look, God wants you to know this. You're a chosen person to know what you're getting right now. And we used to say...
You point out a problem that hasn't been addressed or fixed. Now you say, oh, I got with skinheads, and these skinheads were criminals and lowlifes, so now the problem isn't solved. You went to an area where white people were being intimidated, violence against them, that's going on all across America.
When the blacks used to come to our neighborhood, we did the same thing.
Okay, now is the problem solved because you're doing that?
No, it's not. My problem is getting solved with a hockey program.
So when we got violence from whites jumping blacks or blacks jumping whites, we still got the problem.
Get the one more point you made. How there's no group out there for whites to join. There's tons of Irish American groups, Italian American groups.
Okay, but I'm not one ethnicity. I'm about three different, English, Scottish, and Ukrainian. I do not identify as an Englishman or a Scotsman or a Ukrainian. I'm a white American. Sure that's what I identify with. I don't need someone else to come tell me what my ethnicity is. I'm a white American. That's all I identify with.
Who tries to tell you?
You're trying to tell me, oh, gee, I could join an Irish group. No. And yeah, that is true. And I do promote that.
I said that there are groups like that.
Sean, let's let Frank tell his story for a little bit. Frank, I want to get back to, you wind up in prison, okay? And prison just makes it worse. Frank, how do you go from the street life, from the Aryan Brotherhood, from the skinheads to where you're at now? How did you get out of it, number one?
It wasn't like an overnight change. It'd be hard to say that it was. It took my higher power to show me different things and different people and to prove me wrong. This isn't my opinion that we are all created equal. You know, God has given us all these books, you know, the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, all these books, and people learn how to hate through them, you learn how to love, but he gives you that option, and that's in all of us humans.
Sean saying and exercising his First Amendment rights here, and saying that white people have every right to belong to a white group as long as it isn't violent, as long as it doesn't hurt people, and that the groups that you're talking about are a tiny fraction of the white power movement. You're saying that every group you were involved with, whether it was skinheads, Aryan Brother, whatever, they were bad guys.
I mean, every group I've ever hung out with.
Well, you're hanging out in the wrong crowd, dude. There are so many groups that will avoid.
National Alliance in Baltimore.
There are groups that avoid skinheads. You got people that have their get-togethers, and they say, make sure no skinheads are here.
We don't say
it's a wild card.
We don't say let's go out gay bashing. Let's go out beat up blacks. We say let's go out on a mission. That was our cue to go out for the night. And that was the National Alliance in Baltimore.
You can't have a skinhead concert without them beating each other up. I know this. And I ain't saying that skinheads are not violent. I'm saying skinheads are small. What is there, 10,000 skinheads in America? Look about, there's about 200 million whites.
Not even that many.
About 200 million whites in North America, and whites are being pushed out in their communities.
Were you listening to what Frank said, Sean? He said the National Alliance that he was associated with were violent. And
which unit was that?
In Baltimore. George Wright.
Baltimore. I don't know that. What year was that?
89, 90.
Okay, see, I joined the Alliance 4 years ago, so I didn't know.
Well, that was an Alliance then, and I mean...
And they were violent. They were violent.
When has the National Alliance been... if we were a violent organization, we'd be sued. Trust me, the FBI watches us very, very closely. If we were advocating violence or we were out committing violence, we'd be locked up quick. I mean, they monitor us because they go, oh, we're dangerous.
They advocated they just don't do it in groups because of the things that happened with Tom Metzger getting sued. So, I mean...
the National Lyons is
That's
not
not
Tom
true.
Metzger.
Well,
That's
look, we got to take a break.
He writes bad things about us
Okay,
in his
Shawn.
newspaper.
Okay, Shawn. That's fine.